Newspapers, magazines, blogs and social media regularly use catchy headlines to grab your attention and create controversy, but they can often be misleading due to misinterpreted research. Today I'll take you through a recent nutrition study to show you some things to look out for. We'll briefly go over the study and its results before looking at the items we need to be wary of, including type of study, confounding factors, statistical analyses, generalisability, and finally the overall impact of the study. The study we'll talk about today was published in February this year by researchers in Cambridge, United Kingdom, who identified that socioeconomic status and proximity to fast food outlets had previously been independently linked to fast food consumption and obesity, but wanted to investigate the interaction between the two. 5,958 adults in Cambridgeshire participated between 2005 and 2013. Fast food consumption was gleaned from food frequency questionnaires, which also provided highest education level, living and working locations. Weight and height were measured by trained professionals and used to calculate BMI. Then the location of fast food outlets in the region were provided by local councils. Linear and logistic regression models were used to examine interactions between education level, fast food consumption, BMI, and odds of being obese. What the research has found can be seen here. Chart A shows that a person's fast food consumption increases when their exposure to fast food outlets also increase. Q1 are those with least exposure to fast food, and Q4 are those people with the most exposure. Chart B further regresses this data for education attainment and shows that despite more exposure to fast food outlets, if a person is more educated, they consume less fast food. Similarly, those with lowest education attainment consume the most fast food. Both trends are almost identical for BMI on the y-axis. The study in question is called a descriptive cross-sectional study, which is a type of observational study, meaning that participants do not have to change anything in their daily lives to participate. The exposure and outcome, or cause and effect, are measured at one point in time, in this case by completing the questionnaire and having weight and height measured. After that, the participant's obligation is finished. There are inherent limitations of cross-sectional studies, and this study is no different. Firstly, confounding factors, which I will discuss in the following slide. Secondly, there will always be error in participants' recall of the foods they eat. Cross-sectional studies cannot determine causality. We therefore cannot say that lower education causes people to eat more fast food or to be obese. For this, we must compare controlled exposed and non-exposed groups of very similar characteristics over a period of time to see what changes occur. This is done with interventions or randomized controlled trials. However, the study does show a correlation exists between education inequality and obesity, adding to existing research and directing future research. It has also gathered good data on the rates of obesity and fast food consumption amongst the studied population. The researchers have done a good job at controlling for confounding factors in this study. These are things, apart from those being studied, that may also affect obesity risk or fast food consumption. It is possible to adjust for these statistically, and in this study, age, gender, income, smoking status, physical activity, supermarket availability, and daily energy intake have been accounted for. But we still do not know what the distribution of these factors looked like between the education levels. There are still some aspects that cannot be accounted for, such as the fact that only home and work fast food exposures were measured, not other life activities like commuting or sporting pastimes. What about fast food items purchased in the supermarket or other places? Recent relocations were not accounted for. Perhaps a recent home or work move affected the survey answers. Participants resided in Cambridgeshire, which on average has a higher education level and lower ethnic diversity compared to elsewhere in the UK. The researchers also pointed out that the use of education as an indicator for socioeconomic status may not be equivalent to the other indicators like income or occupation. This table of obesity risks from the study demonstrates how significant the results are. To be really meaningful, results of any study must be statistically significant. This means that differences between groups is not due to chance. While the table looks complicated, the p-value of 0.03 on the right-hand column tells us that there is a significant difference between obesity risk in the lowest and highest educated participants. In fact, the lowest educated group was twice as likely to be obese than the highest educated group. The p-value of 0.107, also in the right-hand column here, demonstrates that obesity risk difference between the middle and lowest educated participants is not significant because the p-value is greater than 0.05. The results of any study must be looked at within the broader spectrum of available evidence. A meta-analysis of several interventions or randomized controlled trials is usually required to confirm that X causes Y. All of the factors we've talked about today affect how relevant, applicable, and generalizable the results of this study are. For example, what would the results look like for children rather than adults in Cambridgeshire? Or, would we find similar data for a population in Calcutta in India? So, at the end of the day, what impact does the study have? For the first time, a correlation between the combined effect of socioeconomic status and fast food outlet exposure on fast food consumption and obesity has been demonstrated. It also contributes to a growing amount of literature and evidence on these topics. It may help direct further research, perhaps into understanding the mechanisms behind why these results have been seen. Also, researchers suggested that these results, combined with other evidence, may support the development of government health and education policies. They may even ignite initiatives by non-government groups. I hope this presentation has been helpful for you and that you're now able to better analyse claims made on blogs, social and mainstream media.